start our talk today, going back to the screensaver that we had. For those of you who came in late and might have missed it, or mostly for the people online who'll be listening to this later. Yeah, this is a piece of art I have hanging here in the Zendo. It's got a quote from Frederick Buechner. Here is the world, beautiful and terrible. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid. Yeah, I think this is about the best post-inaugural message I can come up with. Here's the world, beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid. And I would add, surprisingly, be encouraged. And that's what talks today is about. I've got a couple of inaugural poems tomorrow morning for you that it's about finding encouragement in dark times. Yeah, so there's that. You probably heard Dylan's All Along the Watchtower better than I did because I have got no sound on this end, but a couple of lines here to catch the moment, and then I'll introduce how we're going to work with it. The lines go, "There must be some way out of here," said the Joker to the thief. "There's too much confusion. I can't get no relief. Businessmen, they drink my wine. Plowmen dig my earth. None of them along the line know what any of it is worth. No reason to get excited," the thief he kindly spoke. "There are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. But you and I, we've been through that, and this is not our fate. So let us not talk falsely now. The hour is getting late." Yeah, it's a great song. Dylan wrote it. Hendrix immortalized it with his version of it. And today we're going to sort of continue what we started at the Dancing with Spirit in terms of working with the stages of growth. Again, we're a spiritual community. Started 4 years ago in a dark time, in COVID. And as a spiritual community, we're sort of, the center of Heart to Heart is our silent meditation, our attempts to plug in directly, in direct experience with the Spirit. So as a spiritual community, to respond rather than to react. To respond rather than to react to what's going on in the world right now. It's bigger than what's going on here, but this is part of it. What's going on in the world right now: war, genocide, poverty, starvation, climate catastrophe, millions of refugees on the move, rise of authoritarian governments, and then a lot of beautiful stuff too, including this group. I don't know a better bunch of people I'd be willing to sit with. This is beautiful. There's a lot of beauty going on there, but it's hard to get away from, it just seems like, in the line in the song, there's too much confusion. Everything's shook up right now. I mean, genocide before our eyes in Gaza. Maybe there's a ceasefire. Maybe it'll last for a little bit. Will they start to build peace? Can they repair it? We don't know. No. I mean, I think a lot of things are behind this confusion. I'm just going to look at one of them because it's appropriate for us. But there's money, the media, lies. There used to be a news cycle. Now there's a news cyclone that's fueled by lies, and reason has vanished. In a lot of our media, they won't check facts. It's just emotion. hate, whatever. So there's money, there's the media, and then there's uh, bad religion, and that is something we'll talk about. Religion that's sort of off the track, and so we'll talk about that today because we are a spiritual community, not necessarily a religious community. Uh, and religion is having an effect in the world, and we can understand it. Religion is not the problem. The level of growth of this of ethnocentric religion that's fueling a lot of the worst things on the planet. Well, it's touching our lives too here. So I want to look into a couple of the first two stages of human growth and spirituality briefly, but just to give you a sense of how evolution, we're in a stage of evolution is not the end of the story. I'm just going to talk about the first two stages of human evolution that we've all experienced. That's been going on for about 1 million years. Okay. And I want to remind you that all of our experience, including our spiritual experiences, will be interpreted or explained by the stage of growing up that we're at. Waking up is a direct experience of the spirit. Growing up interprets it. And thus we go back to something we've been working with for 4 years. How you see is what you see. People say, well, how could anybody vote for Kamala Harris? I just can't see it. Or how could anybody vote for Trump? I just can't see it. Well, how you see is what you see. And like each stage of evolution is like putting on a different pair of glasses. Reality is not what you perceive, it's what you conceive. Each stage sees reality as different. Now, I'm just going to give you a very quick sketch of the two beginning stages of human growth, the egocentric stage and the ethnocentric stage. Each is just a glimpse, but it will help you to understand this terrible beauty of life on planet Earth, how we can have so much beauty and so much terror at the same time. And hopefully by the time we get to the end when we can go do our central thing, which is sitting, direct experience, trying to plug in to the spirit, that you'll feel encouraged. And we'll have a bit of structure to work with. Part of a postmodern world in the West is we've lost a sense of pattern or meaning or structure. Well, this structure is built into us. Everybody goes through egocentricity, goes through ethnocentricity, those first two stages. I want to just give you a view. Now, you chose to be here. Waking up is different than growing up. Waking up, people choose to pursue it. You're doing that, which is all to the good. So I'll just give you a quick glimpse of these now. Ken Wilber's latest book, Radical Wholeness, is probably the best book he's ever written. It's a challenging read, but he really goes into the 12 stages of growing up and also waking up and cleaning up and opening up and showing up. It's an amazing book, but not everybody's going to read it or wants to read it. But I want to give you the essence of the sense of in 4 stages this week, egocentric and ethnocentric, and next week, world-centric and integral, to give you sort of the heart of it. So egocentric, what are we talking about there? Well, probably since 300,000 BCE, this emerged. About 1 million years ago, the primates turned into some form of hominid. But this egocentric form of consciousness, which is about me, it's first person, it's about me and the world. You can call it the magic power stage. And again, 300,000 years It's been going on. And for every infant that was born, and we were all born at some point, um, it's well, there is a stage before this for a human person, the archaic stage, which is pretty much 0 to 6 months, where it's not non-dual, it's a-dual, because we don't know the difference. I wouldn't know the difference from me in this chair I'm sitting on. It takes about 6 months to get a sense of here I am and here the world is. Okay, so the really and we may have spent, 500,000, 600,000 years in that. I don't know. But if infants, if you're not, your usual way it develops is 6 months, you start to actually see the difference between you and the chair, you and mom. Okay. Egocentric comes after that. We all go through this stage. The main focus is the first person, me. And how can I navigate the body and its impulses? That's really the first stage, is navigating the body and impulses. Hunger and thirst, sex, aggression, power are the main battles. Uh, for an perfect in the egocentric stage of growing up, it's a bit like what Freud was talking about when he talked about the id. The id, it's just impulsive, it's bodily, it's sex, aggression, power. Uh, Now, magical thinking is what comes up in this time. You might remember, or you might, if you've had little kids or grandkids or nephews and stuff who are little, this is the stage where, again, it's first person. You think, when I do this, they can't see me because there is no they see. I'm invisible now. Hide and seek kind of stuff. Every kid does this at some point, and they can't even imagine that somebody else is seeing them do this. That's the first person, and it's magical thinking. Cover your eyes and you can't be seen. And there's word magic is part of this, not in the infant growing, young stage, but just if you stay in this, beyond, even into school and grade school, and if you're still sort of egocentric, word magic is part of this. When you say a word, the reality appears. Um, in this stage, which was the stage of like the early shamans, magicians, wizards. Again, it's a magical stage. Some of those guys about 30,000 years ago went into caves in every one of the continents, which is interesting to me. It's like this is a time release kind of setup. And all, not Antarctica, but the other 6 continents, including Australia, they went down into caves and they took some image or dream or thought that was inside them and put it on the cave wall. And the first time they did that, but that was the beginning of art. That was the beginning of expression. Everything was oral before that. But there's a sense of magic there. And, to try to, the kind of world we're in now is not that world. We're in the postmodern world, unfortunately, has, as we'll see next week, if you don't already know it, has shrunk down into a kind of very shallow flatland. There's no magic. There's no mystery. There's just stuff and the exchange of stuff. God got thrown out with the spirit a long time ago. Just science. And so for people in a postmodern mentality, it's sort of kind of flatland, which I think will tell you why Harry Potter made such a hit. Reintroduction of something magical. Yeah, yeah. So it's good writing too, but I think that's the thing. If you didn't believe in magic, you were a muggle, I think is what the word was. I didn't read it. All my kids read it though. Now, to track Christianity through this, just because Christianity is the largest religion on the planet, uh, a magical way of seeing Christianity is Jesus is a magician. He's a kind of superhero. He turns water into wine, raises the dead, walks on water, calms storms. He's a kind of magician. And, we're going through this thing, at least in our culture, and we want superheroes because everything seems so flat. You just make more money than your parents made if that, and whoever dies with the most toys wins, but that's sort of flat. And then you still die. Life's a bitch, and then you die. There's no real depth to it, no real for a lot of people. And so superheroes sort of look sort of cool, but they aren't us. See, so Jesus says magician and superhero. And then probably 20,000 years after the magic era started, somewhere around 8,000 BCE, the ethnocentric consciousness, they evolved to that. Now, here's a big step. It's the step from first person to second person. You realize there's other people, and you become part of a group, and you extend your energy and into care of other people. We grew up, I just grew into a family. It was there, but that was not so for a long time. And so this is called the ethnocentric, and it's a mythic. It goes from magic to myth and literal myth. Now there's not just me, there's us. And that is a huge jump in a positive way, in a way, because you care for more than yourself. Egocentric people aren't great to be around because they don't give a shit about you. And if they are leading your country, that's that's pretty dangerous. But in the mythic, literal, the ethnocentric, there's us. There's clan was probably about 40 people, a tribe about 100, a village about 1,000, towns more, city states bigger, countries bigger, and even empires. Lots of people, lots of us. The unfortunate thing about you can care about you know care about more than yourself. You belong. This is sometimes called the mythic belonging stage, mythic membership stage. You belong to a group, tribe. I'm wearing my tribal colors here. Notre Dame plays football tomorrow. I grew up in that tribe. Yeah, you just don't take it too seriously, though. I know people who will be facing suicide if they don't win a football game. Well, I'm not there, but it's nice to have a tribe. Nice to have a family. Okay, yeah, and that's this stage. Now, in this stage, our relationship to the spirit changes. We grow up enough to know that we can't perform magic, and magic turns into myth. Mythic gods, they can do it. And then that turns into stories and beliefs and rituals to get the favor of those gods out on Mount Olympus. The gods usually appear on the mountains. When you take that literally, you build your churches on the mountains. Shamans are replaced by priests who can connect you to God, to the gods. At this stage, humans believe the myths are literally true. Zeus exists on top of Mount Olympus. Moses really parted the Red Sea. If you're a Taoist, Lao Tzu was really 900 years old. Lao Tzu means the old guy. And so, yeah, I was 900 years old. Jesus was really born of a biological virgin. Just even questioning that for most of the Middle Ages could have made me toast. But this is mythic literal. The guys who literally believe the Bible, the guys who literally believe the Quran, every word, taking it literally. The majority of the Supreme Court, they're originalists. They say that what the Constitution literally says, even though it was written in the 18th century when they had no idea of you know, the internet or media. No, it doesn't say anything here. And you don't know. So and all religions in this stage are fundamentalist religions. They're all fundamentalists. And ethnocentric religion, uh, well, the paradox of religion in general, the bad news, paradox is like trying to hold bitter and sweet together, you know? It's like, here's the world, beautiful and terrible things happen. So paradox is that. And religion is paradoxical. The bad news, ethnocentric religion, fundamentalist religion, whether it's Christianity, Islam. In India, it's Islam and Hindu killing one another. Northern Ireland, it was Catholics and Protestants. Ethnocentric religion has been the largest source of hatred, torture, and warfare in human history. I think it's pretty safe to say that. And authoritarian tyrants always use ethnocentric religion to gain power and control. Putin, you might not know really what's going on in Russia that much, but Putin has this whole myth about Ukraine really, it's a whole religious Christian myth how Ukraine actually was given to Russia years ago. We're just going to take back what's ours. Yeah, so that's a key thing. Authoritarian autocrats, they almost always use ethnocentric religion to gain power and control. So that's the bad news. All around the world, there's probably 70% of the world and the people in the world are under autocratic regimes. It's just coming to the West and it's coming to the US now. So it's a problem for us now, but it's been a problem for a long time. The good news, time for some good news. The good news is that kind of world-centric. Next week, we're going to look in a little bit to world-centric, what it means to be not egocentric, not ethnocentric, not me, not us, but what world-centric means is all of us. It goes beyond nationality. It goes beyond your religion. World-centric interspirituality, which is what I'm interested in. I'm not pushing any doctrine here. They're all too small, and I see what they've become. But world-centric interspirituality is on the rise. Most millennials, 70% of them say they're spiritual, not religious. They're hungry for something. But it's not that old time religion. It's not ethnocentric religion at all. Now, the good news is the prophets, the sages, the saints, the mystics in all those, in Catholicism, in Protestantism, in Islam, Rumi, for instance, in Islam, the prophets and sages and saints and mystics in those ethnocentric religions were different. They were precursors of this emerging stage of wisdom, compassion, care, and love that I believe world-centric religion, world-centric interspirituality will bring us. But it's a tough balancing act when you factor in, the rise of authoritarianism. You factor in what's happening on the planet. Climate change is causing millions of refugees to come. All that. But I take great encouragement in that. That's why I'm here and not doing something else, to be honest, because I think we're not the only group doing this. There's a lot of people. I think the majority of people in this country, for instance, do not want a kind of cronyistic, kleptocratic theocracy for a government. I just do believe that. And I don't believe the majority of people in most countries in the West anyway, don't want that, but they're taken over. And so we need to open our eyes and see. And a lot of it is a mix of these two basic things. It's a kind of regress, you see. It's a kind of regress. And it happens because evolution is not a straight line upward. It goes up and then it goes back and it goes up, go back. In our country, you can see in American history, you can see it's going up, slaves are free, and then there's a backlash of going back, a retrograde, Jim Crow, and then it goes up, and there's FDR and the New Deal, in part a lot of people, and then there's kind of backlash. They've been trying to take apart the New Deal for, well, since Reaganomics came in, and then, geez, we elected a black president. Racism must be over. There was a backlash right starting right from there, and then we even tried to have a woman be president. No, we're going to go back. We'll be back, and so we're in a kind of backlash retrograde period now, but you can't stop evolution. But it gets rocky. It gets painful. A lot of people can get hurt. But there's good news. And that's what we'll just try to keep focusing on with our eyes open. All right. I think that's good enough. Now, next week we'll talk about really what a world-centric view would be, and what how the spirituality that we're doing fits into that, and then even what's beyond that. Okay, but I think that's good enough for now. So we'll leave it there.